Hi all, welcome to a module on one of the most complex components of campaign measurement, which is resolving challenges from conflicting data and results. I want to start with a toy example here. I think this will be a fun thing and I want to walk you through it slowly. So please take a moment to think about each of these and respond as we go. I'm going to suggest a pen and paper here, maybe pause the video as needed. I'll take some breaks, but gather your thoughts on each of these questions and answer as we go along. All right, you're measuring a campaign and you see these two different sets of results. From a brand lift study, you're going to show a significant decrease in purchase intent, but our website saw a record high number of conversions. How is this? What happened here? Take a quick moment, think on it, write down something, just a couple of words so that we can reference as we go along. All right, here's a new piece of information. All the survey respondents in the brand lift survey were women. How do you explain this to the client? Think just for a moment. Okay, more information coming in now. Because of how the head of marketing works, this company actually considers add to carts to be conversions on the website. All right, this is with this new information. How does this change your story? Take a moment, think back to your first answer and see what's changed. Oh wait, more info still. Not only was the survey only collecting results against women, it only asked questions about its new product and not its old product that has historically had the high performance. What does the story look like now? All right, last of the slow reveals. They they actually tripled the ad spend during this campaign period. This is the last one for real now. What does your story look like? Think for a moment. What's the number of narratives that you've built in the last 5 slides? How many ways did we tell a story based on the same 2 sets of results? My point with this exercise is that the ability to make sense of results is often tied to the information about the campaign that we're measuring, the company, their tactics, their goals. But there are 2 main things I want you to take away from the toy example is one, what's important to the advertiser determines the effectiveness of the advertising. Add to carts count as conversions in this particular case, but since we don't really know what's important here for this advertiser, it's really hard to tell where we should focus. And 2, you'll never have perfect information when you're trying to understand study performance. And if you know that you don't have perfect information, you can treat all findings and all research as each a single point of evidence, because there's always more to learn. So if performance is in the eye of the beholder and you don't have perfect information, you're still responsible for taking these results from these expensive and sophisticated measurement studies to turn them into action as well as recommendation for the future. So as you're going into this, know that this issue of perfect information this is a science problem and it's not a special ads research problem. So examine this quote. Even in a well-designed, controlled study, missing data occurs in almost all research. Missing data can reduce the statistical power of a study and can produce biased estimates, leading to invalid conclusions. The problem of missing data is relatively common in almost all research and can have a significant effect on the conclusions that we draw from the data. This is a really powerful sentence. So the way that we deal with this is that we understand, we internalize that our research isn't perfect, our information isn't perfect. Do we still learn from this? Yes, of course. But do we bet the farm on a single set of results, knowing that this imperfect information exists? No, we do not. So temper your expectations as well as your recommendations, and most importantly, keep testing. The more evidence you have, the easier it is for you to accept and then finally act on. So beyond imperfect data, there's also this issue of multiple results. How do we choose which ones to act on? Which ones do we trust, or which ones do we trust more? In clinical science, there's a standard hierarchy of evidence that feels logical as well as increasingly robust as you go up the ladder. In campaign effectiveness and campaign measurement, there's a couple of common solutions that fall neatly into this hierarchy, and we can kind of treat them the same way. Attributed performance is low on the standard for science. It's basically correlated observational data. It's useful, it's just not overly robust. Next is benchmarks. When you're looking at a lot of that historic attribution data, what do we get? Higher still is RCT, or the randomized controlled trial. Causal measurement studies fall clearly into this camp. And finally, at the top of this is the meta-analysis. This is the study of studies. These exist in the ad space. They're not super common, but they do exist, and they're pretty powerful when you have one. So to show how this works, so if we have this framework, we can actually help align results as well as expectations, and provide a reference to the numbers that we're seeing out of the studies. So look at the causal row here, where the arrow is. The fall campaign drove a 3% lift. How do we feel about this? Compared to the meta-analysis, it feels average-ish, touch low perhaps, but nothing we'd be nervous about. Maybe even look at that recent dip in the ROAS versus the benchmark, 7.5 on the fall campaign versus the ROAS of 10 in the last 2 quarters. Folks are buying less overall. Maybe it's seasonality. We can start to draw things like that. But as soon as that number changes to something that's outside our normal expectations, look how things get interesting. We're now at 13% sales lift. We almost tripled the lift over the meta-analysis in the fall. Was this result statistically significant versus the metadata? What was the strategy? Were there any other major changes going on? The creative, man, we got to see the phenomenal creative on this campaign. See how exciting a 13% number gets when you have this additional context of a higher level data set that we can trust and use as a reference point. Okay, and this is where it gets fun. What do you expect from the next campaign? Is it a 13% lift? No, it's not. It's a 5% lift, because the hierarchy of evidence tells us that this 5% lift is what we should expect. And the 13% was clearly a fluke of some kind. Maybe it can't be sustained. If it happens again, well, we might want to revisit the meta-learnings, but by itself, it's just a single data point. And this is why the hierarchy is powerful. 13% is a point of evidence, and it's not a course to set the future by. All right, we'll follow up more on this in the next video.